Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Londonishvara, Radha Londonishvara, Radha Londonishvara, Shri Radhe, Their Radha Londonishvara, Radha Londonishvara, Radha Londonishvara, Shri Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Shri Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Shri Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki. Vantakoti Vaishnavinda ki. Jai Govardhana. Oh. So, Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Prabhu. You see, joining, people are joining because, it's very early morning. Very early morning. It's too early. People are actually sleeping.
Haribo. So good to see all of you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be in your Sangha. I've never been to the Russian Vedic Society before. So I'm very, very, very grateful and honored to be here and very excited to be with you all.
It has to be first time always. Always has to be first time.
Yes. In Krishna consciousness, everything is ever fresh and new because Krishna is ever fresh and new. So like that. It's always a first time, actually.
Thank you, Prabhu, for coming to us. Thank you so much that you agreed to share your realizations, your place, your experience with the Lords.
Oh, well, I don't have that much experience, but I've heard so much about them. Maybe experience a little bit, but for sure be repeating what all the great souls have said about them, about their history. I mean, the history of our deities is so incredibly wonderful. And even often we get so covered up by what's going on in the world. I was just sharing that with my friend the other day, of how society-wise, even in terms of our society in ISKCON, in our society in the world, it's such a big mess, right? It's such a big mess. Things that happen, you're like, oh God, what's happening? And these things cover our consciousness so much, and we don't realize our good fortune. At least, I mean, just because we're devotees as well, that's our greatest good fortune, but also because us being in London and being part of Radha Londonishvara's community, we don't realize how fortunate we are. And I'm speaking for myself. So many times I forget how special they are. That's how covered our consciousness can get. So these kind of sanghas where we can glorify them, it's so important because it's reminding me. I was so when Jamavati Mataji asked me to come, I consider myself fortunate because that means I can vibrate the glories and thereby purify myself, and hopefully everyone else who's part of this sangha can also benefit from it. So this is really wonderful. But of course, our deities, the Radha Londonishvara, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Shri Gauritai, Giraj Govardhan, Srila Prabhupada, they all we cannot understand their glories without the mercy of our great acharyas. So let us start first by chanting a few Mangalacharan prayers to beg for their mercy that we may chant their glories and hopefully they can enter our hearts by hearing about them. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So dear devotees, so we'll start on this great journey on glorifying our dear beloved deities. Before that, please give me your blessings and well wishes so that I may say something of benefit to everybody's Krishna consciousness. Now, I'm actually very unqualified. I don't know how I ended up being here. Well, actually, I know how I ended up being here. I ended up being here because of the mercy of the devotees, the mercy of Mahaprabhu, the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the mercy of my spiritual master. That's the only reason I'm here. And therefore, I beg for your blessings and mercy so I can say something of benefit to everybody. So, our deities, Shri Radha Londonishvara, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Shri Gauritai, Giraj Govardhan. Their glories are unlimited, incredibly unlimited. We won't be able, their glories are an ocean of nectar that we won't be able to cross actually, but we'll try to delve deeper into it. And the more devotees serve them, the more those glories are revealed to us. The more we serve them in the mood of pure devotional service. What is that mood of pure devotional service? Anya Bilashita Sunyam Jnana Karmadyanamitam Anukulyena Krishna Nu Shiranam Bhakti Uttamam, the classic verse that describes pure devotional service. This movement that Srila Prabhupada has created, has spread over the world, all over the world. This movement is about this verse, about how to serve Krishna, how to serve God with pure devotion. What does pure devotion mean? It means I don't want anything else but to please the senses of Krishna. There's Anya Bilashita Shunyam. Anya Bilash, Abilash means desires. Anya Bilash means many desires, many material desires. So, Anya Bilashita Shunyam. Shunyam means zero. So there's zero material desires. So nothing for me, nothing for me. Jnana, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. There's no tinges of Jnana. So the Jnana here is referring to this general knowledge that's referring to impersonal conceptions of God. Jnana Karmadi. Karma means fruitive activities. I'm performing work so I can get a result out of it. I can get a result that I can enjoy. So Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. So none of these things. The first, there's no material desires at all. No, meaning like no desires so that for my own sense gratification. And then Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, not tinged with impersonalist philosophy and not tinged with fruitive activities, activities where I'm performing work so I can enjoy things for myself. Jnana Karmadya Namitam, Anukulyena Krishnanu. Anukulyena Krishnanu Shiranam. So it means that we're serving Krishna favorably, according to what Krishna wants us to do. Anukulyena Krishnanu Shiranam Bhaktir Uttamam. And that is pure bhakti. You know, Uttama Bhakti, you hear these terms. Uttama Bhakti means pure devotional service. This movement, is Krishna consciousness movement, is there to give us this. It's a very special movement because in the world, there's many spiritual paths, there's many religious systems, and they're all really, really wonderful. They're all helping us approach God, approach Krishna in different forms and in different names. But this movement of Mahaprabhu is specifically giving us how can you love God deeply. And there's so much information on how to love God deeply, selflessly. This world we're looking for love. That's all we're looking for. We're looking for love in the wrong place. And this verse is telling us how can we love Krishna deeply. In the Act of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada describes in the introduction that everyone has a Krishna-shaped vacuum in their heart. Has anybody felt empty here? There's some emptiness in our hearts. You know, we go around this world every day carrying this emptiness in our heart, and we try to use different things to fill this emptiness. You know, different relationships, different things, you know, peoples, you know, objects, you know. If we can't find anybody, we'll get a dog maybe. You know, it's all nice, they're all relationships, yes, but they will not fill up this Krishna-shaped vacuum in our heart. Only Krishna can fill it up. So therefore, so I thought we should start off this glorification of the deities by speaking about what's our sambandha with them first. So first, I have to look at where are we right now. Why are we in this material world? We're in this material world because we are trying to be Krishna. You know, I was listening to a class by Srila Prabhupada yesterday, and he was saying, you know, we're in this world, we're either trying to be Krishna or be more than Krishna. We'll be greater than Krishna. So of course, but to do that, it's not possible, because we know we are very minute part and parcel of Krishna. So in the spiritual world, that's not going to work because all is small. So we have to come to this material world and get covered by it, by Maya, as we call it, illusion. And there we wander around the world trying to be the Lord and Master of everything, under the influence of the false ego. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the false ego is described like this: Aham mameti. Janasya moho tamaham mameti. So aham mameti means I, me, and mine. So we go around this world thinking in terms of I am the Lord of everything. I, me. It's all about I and me and mine. Everything around me should be mine. We go around the world thinking like that, and even acting out based on this concept of ourselves. But of course, we know it. We've seen it since time immemorial. We've seen it yesterday, we see it today, and we'll see it tomorrow also. Is that kind of thinking just does not make us happy. So the Lord Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, he knows all this. He's seeing all this. Therefore, what happens? You see this in Srimad Bhagavatam. If you pay attention to Srimad Bhagavatam, is that since the dawn of creation, this material world is created for us to try and be masters, lords and masters of everything that we survey. Since the dawn of creation, Krishna continues to appear time and time again. Why? Just to save us. You see Srimad Bhagavatam, since the dawn of creation, he constantly appearing in different incarnations. And actually, Srimad Bhagavatam describes that the incarnations of Krishna, the expansions of Krishna, the avatars of Krishna in this world cannot be counted. They are as innumerable as the rivers entering the ocean. I think that's what it is. As rivulets entering the ocean, something like that. He says. It's said there. So basically, innumerable. You cannot count them. He's constantly appearing to save us, to tell us, you know, you do not belong here. You do not belong in this material world. You are actually incompatible with this material world. Sounds like a good, sounds nice, no? Incompatible with the material world. Because it's so true if you look at it, you're just so not compatible with it. The Krishna's coming to remind us of that in these many different forms. And one of those forms that appears, if you reach Chaitanya Charitamrita, is described the different avatars of Krishna, the different forms of Krishna are categorized under different headings. So you have the Lila avatars, you have the Guna avatars, you have the Manvantara avatars, and they all categorized differently. So then there's one special avatar of Krishna, one special incarnation of Krishna, which is called the Archa Vigraha incarnation of the Lord. That's the deity form of the Lord. That's another incarnation of Krishna, where Krishna appears in this form to save us. So Shri Radha Londonishvara, they've appeared in central London to save us. Shri Radha Londonishvara, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Shri Gaurita and Girish Gautam, they are here in central London for all of us, to save us. Sometimes it happens, you know, in the society of devotees, sometimes, you know, there's a very not so nice word that starts with P and ends with an S. Does anybody know what word that is? Something called politics, you know. So sometimes politics abound in society, and it happens in a society of devotees as well. What can you do? And because of that, sometimes we do get disillusioned. We just maybe don't want to go to the temple anymore. We just won't go to the temple anymore. We just distance ourselves because we're hurt, or we're just not happy with what's happened. But if you remember this, Londonishvara, or any of the deities around the world, they appeared for us to save us. No matter what's happening externally speaking, they're here for us. They're giving darshan for us to attract our hearts. Doesn't that melt away all the other difficulties we may be experiencing if we just remember that? They're here for us. They're here for me. Everyone here should remember this. Londonishvara, they're here for me to save me. So and then I was reading Vaisheshika Prabhu's book once. You know this book called The Family Business? Probably all heard about it. So in that book, he explains that the Lord has this anxiety to save the conditioned souls. You know, he has this anxiety that he wants to save all the conditioned souls of this material world. And Prabhupada says that when the Lord is unhappy because of the condition of the fallen souls, the devotee consoles him by saying, "My dear Lord, do not be in anxiety." So when I first read that, I read this, and it had this picture in my mind. Like, you know, who would ever think of a temple in central London? Like, of all places in central London, why would you just would not think of a temple in central London if you think about it. Why? So much hard, like, you'd think of the countryside, you know, like what a goodness environment, that kind of thing, you know, like, you know, we wake up the deities here, and we wake up the deities. We wake up around. I have to wake up around 2:30, 3 o'clock, and by 3:30 I should be in the Pujari room preparing for the wake up, and you wake them up at 3:45 in the morning. And when you wake them up, guess what their background music is? Screaming, screeching, some mundane music in the street. Yeah, crash, crash, these kind of horrible noises. One time my friend was telling me he was waking up the deities, and there is lady screaming, probably all drunk, you know. This lady screaming, saying, "Don't do that! That's my boyfriend!" Ah! That's the kind of thing. That's the background music to why Londonishvara waking up, you know. So why would we have a temple here, you know? And then when I read this, I was like, the Lord is in intense anxiety to save the conditioned souls of Kali Yuga, you know. And I just had this picture in my mind that Londonishvara, they're here and they have so much anxiety, they're feeling so much anxiety. They want to be with us. They want to save us. I had this picture that Londonishvara must be crying tears of compassion, you know. And then if we don't recognize that they're here for us, you know, then we're missing out on that beautiful relationship with them. So yeah, so that's Radha Londonishvara, you know. And then Prabhupada goes on to explain, actually, Vaisheshika Prabhu goes on to explain, he says that Srimati Radharani, Krishna's dearest and most perfect devotee, is always anxious to make arrangements to bring others closer to Krishna. She is heavily laden with mercy, Karuna Bharite, and is restless to distribute that mercy everywhere. Srimati Radharani, she's restless to distribute that mercy everywhere. Therefore, we come to central London, despite all the not necessarily very pure environment around, to give us this mercy. And therefore, the Lord, He appears in a form that we can access Him right now. Krishna's form is Satchidananda, full of eternal, full knowledge, and full of bliss. And therefore, we cannot actually perceive Him right now. We can only perceive matter, really. He's everywhere. He's not. He's our heart as Paramatma, We cannot see Him. We're not qualified to see Him in this day and age. We're still fallen. But as a deity form, He appears in a form that we can access Him. We can serve Him personally. We can see Him, And although it looks like matter to us, even though it may look like Radha Londonishvara is marble, it may look like that Jagannath Subhadra they're made of wood. It may look like Gonitai, they're brass things, but actually, once the Lord appears by the desire of the pure devotee, the deity appears out of the desire of the pure devotee, the deity is no longer material. Actually, it's non-different from Krishna. The deity is Krishna. We just don't see it like that. Actually, is Krishna standing there, watching us, accepting our worship. So that's how merciful the Lord is. He appears in this form. So one may obviously question, one may obviously say that, well, it's just matter, the Lord is spiritual. How can matter become spirit? And Prabhupada describes that basically the entire cosmos, the entire material cosmos, material world, spiritual and material worlds are coming from Krishna. So the material world is material elements, marble, stone, painting, etc. Paint and like jewels and all that kind of stuff that surrounds us, concrete, is all coming from Krishna. Therefore, if Krishna, so it's part of Krishna. So if Krishna wants to, out of love for his conditioned soul, and compassion for the conditioned souls, if he so desires, he appears within this energy of his, he can do so, right? It's coming from him. If he so desires, he can actually completely spiritualize this material element and make it as good as his own form. He can do that, right? If God is God, he can do that. If he's not God, then yeah, maybe we could question it. But then just forget about the whole concept of God. Then we're not practicing any religion, any spiritual path. Then But if God is God, He can do that. And the way and the way we realize that is by if we practice, if we serve the deity of the Lord, with that mood of devotion, the Lord will start to reveal to us that He's actually there. He's actually there reciprocating us. And Shri Radha Londonishvara, they appeared out of their own causeless mercy to save us. And that's the most fascinating pastime. I'm sure you've all heard this pastime before of Shri Radha Londonishvara. Now give me 1 minute, my laptop is about to die. Let me just put my charger. Otherwise, I might get engrossed in talking about Radha Londonishvara and forget, and I'm just cut off before I know it. Okay, we should be good now. Yes. So Shri Radha Londonishvara, as we know the story, you all probably know that story very well, but this is a very important story. And I've had so many devotees had different versions of it, also different realizations about it, of how things have happened. And we all know the 6 devotees over here building Bury Place Temple, spreading Krishna consciousness in London. And Prabhupada had arrived, and they were going to open Bury Place Temple. The date was set, 14th of December, 1969. We're going to have a big opening of Radha Krishna Temple. There was one problem. There was no Radha Krishna yet. Can you just imagine? You're going to open a temple, and Prabhupada says, no, we're going to open Radha Krishna Temple, and there's no deities. We don't find deities. So how are you going to find it? The boys were like a bit bewildered. What are they going to do? And Mukunda Prabhu was saying, reading Mukunda Prabhu is Mukunda Goswami Maharaj. At the time he was Mukunda Das. He says he was one of the 6 devotees who was there. There was Mukunda, Janaki, Yamuna Mataji, Gurudas Prabhu, Shamsundar, Madhati, they were all there. So Mukunda Prabhu describes in his book that they had some plans for deities, and Prabhupada had approved of some of the deities. From his perspective, they were going to cast bronze deities or something like that, and Prabhupada had approved of it. But then what had happened, and then that's his recollection, and Mother Jamuna's recollection is that she always wanted deities to worship, but somehow the plans never fructified. Never looked like they were going to get any. So then therefore when they were making plans to get deities, they were just like, she was just like, oh, she kind of gave up by that time. But one day, I forgot the date now, but I think it was not too long before the installation ceremony, installation day. So then they get this call from Mr. Goyal from East London, from the Hindu Center, and said, and he talks to Prabhupada on the phone, and Prabhupada says, you guys have to go to see Mr. Goyal. He has Radha Krishna to give us. And they were shocked. Wow, Radha Krishna to give us? That's quite amazing. So they went there, they had a look, and the story. Prabhupada went with them, and Mother Jumuna says she did not go. She was at the back of the temple preparing, doing different services, and then Prabhupada went with different devotees. Tamal Krishna Goswami, he went. Shamsundar Prabhu went, and they went. And Prabhupada was discussing with this Hindu gentleman in Hindi. They couldn't quite understand what he was saying, but as we know, what they said was that they could not worship these deities anymore because Radharani's little finger, little pinky, was chipped. Little finger was chipped. So according to very strict, smarter Hindu regulations, when a deity is seemingly damaged even a little bit, you cannot worship them. That's the very strict, smarter system. They can't install them. So basically, they were giving the deities to ISKCON because they don't want them, basically. So as we know the story, Prabhupada didn't have any problem with that. He basically took them with him, and they were saying, no, we can fix them, and then they were like, no, we've got an expert person who can do it. No problem, we take them. No, we will bring them ourselves. Prabhupada said, don't worry. So before they know it, the devotees are carrying Radha Krishna to the car. It's interesting, when Prabhupada first saw them, he had no expression in his face. He just didn't say anything. His face was just blank, But everyone else was like, oh, they've never seen deities so beautiful before. Marble deities they've never seen before. They're so beautiful. And described that Radha, we're not named Radha Londonishvara yet, but they were there they described they were on the floor and they were covered with a sheet, and when they removed them, they described that Londonishvara had a bluish tint on him. A bluish tint on his body, and Mukunda Prabhu describes it as well, and a confirmation with Vanchal Prabhu himself, one of the previous presidents here, very long time ago. Prabhupada described that Londonishvara had like lines of chandan here on his forehead, very faintly painted, It's a beautiful detail nobody knows. So I thought this whole Londonishvara for the first time, really gorgeous, really so beautiful. So then Prabhupada obviously took them to the car and just took them away himself and put them in the car or van or whatever it was. The devotees were holding them at the back and off they went. So Mukunda Prabhu obviously tells Prabhupada, I think, because they could not understand the conversation that they were having. They were speaking in Hindi mostly. So then they said, Mukunda Prabhu says, Prabhupada, you kidnapped Radha Krishna, didn't you? And Prabhupada just laughed. He says, I went to the bank once when I was household in India, and then they had a proposal, but they had a counter proposal, but I foiled their scheme completely. And that person at the bank told me that, Mr. Day, you should have been a politician, You're so intelligent. And Prabhupada just laughed. As we know from Prabhupada in Amrita, Prabhupada describes that this little chipped finger of Srimati Radharani, that was Krishna's trick. Because all along, Radha Krishna wanted to go to Prabhupada. Wanted to come to ISKCON, wanted to come to us. And Prabhupada gives the example of the Damodara pastime, right? But they should have tried to tie Krishna up so many times, he could not, until he decided to do that, because Krishna was tricking him. So Krishna tricked them by his seemingly chipped finger. So you see in our line, and this what Prabhupada did is not unprecedented. A deity that's seemingly damaged, a little bit damaged in some form, and to start worshipping, that's not unprecedented at all, actually, in our line. Our acharyas also do not see it like this smarter conception that if a deity is damaged, you cannot worship it anymore. The Acharyas did not say that way. Because why? Because when the devotees, when the pure devotees see the deity, they actually see Krishna. They do not see this kind of like so-called defects. Because they see Krishna and they know it's Krishna there, so therefore these external things do not matter so much to them. I have to tell you the historical precedent to this is that you all know the deity of Radha Govindaji, Srila Rupa Goswami's deity, Radha Govindaji. If not, you can Google it, Radha Govindaji Jaipur. Is a very beautiful deity of Srila Rupa Goswami's own personal deity. And he's so charming, you know, he was so famous in India. In India, amongst all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the deity. He was like the deity of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And there's a whole background story to Rupa Goswami. Sorry, the whole background story to Srila Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami's deity of the history of his deity. So then, so Rupa Goswami was there. Yeah, Radha Govindaji deity. So if you know the history of Radha Govindaji, is that he was worshipped in this very big red sandstone temple in Vrindavan. It was so high. I think it was 13 stories high or something, really high, and there were ghee lamps lit at the top. And the Mughal emperor at that time, horrible, nasty, really demoniac, King Aurangzeb. You heard of him? Aurangzeb. You can Google him as well. He was really intolerant to other spiritual religious systems. So up in his palace, way back Mughal fort, where it was, he could see the shining lamp on top of Govindaji's temple. They would light these lamps up every Kartik. No, it was every Kartik? I think every full moon or something. It's something like every Ekadashi, yes, every Ekadashi. They would light up the lamp. So he saw that in the sky, and he thought it was stars in the beginning, and he was like, it can't be stars. What's that? So he called his minister over. So what is that shining there? And that's the Hindu temple of Govindaji temple that's shining. That's shining those lamps, you know. And he was like, how can any Hindu temple, be higher than any other Muslim minaret? You know, how can that happen? We should destroy that temple and destroy the deity of Govindaji. So yes, they went to attack the temple. There's a whole amazing story that happens there. But basically, Radha Govindaji had to go into hiding. They had to hiding, and they were in hiding for a long, long time. I think more than a decade they were in hiding. And the Mughal emperor, all the soldiers and everyone were looking for this deity to destroy it. So they were trying to find it, but eventually they couldn't. He at some point, Radha Govindaji reached Jaipur, and the king there, Rajman Singh, protected him from the Mughals. And from then on, Radha Govindaji has been worshipped in Jaipur since then. So basically what happened that Govindaji has been in hiding for a long time, and he's a stone deity. And because they had to constantly be moved, there was some kind of damage there, some kind of damage in the deity. And they were wondering what to do. What do you do? And then they asked the Acharya of that time. The Acharya of that time, if I'm not, it's either Baladev Vidyabhushan or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. They sent a letter to him and said, what do we do? And you know what his reply was? His reply was, just because one son's thumb is broken, he doesn't stop being our son. You know? So therefore, it's still, because it's the relationship of love with Krishna as the deity. They see the deity as not different from Krishna. You know, in our line, deity worship is Nitya Seva. The concept of service to the deity is Nitya Seva. Nitya means eternally, forever. So the service is going on forever, no matter what. Because Krishna is there, we know Krishna is there. So I got this little piece of information from His Holiness Indra Junior Swami. He has this whole series of classes about Radha Govindaji. So you can get more nectar there if you want to hear more about the history of his deity. So therefore, Prabhupada is in this mood as well, following the Acharya. This little chip around his finger, it doesn't matter. For him, Radha and Krishna had come. And as we know, he installed them. Installation was happening. It was in a small temple room in Bury Place, really tiny. Prabhupada installed the first big Radha Krishna in ISKCON. And as you know, they took Radha Krishna onto the altar, and they were beginning to dress them, and something happened. Something happened which portrayed, actually, which to some people would seem to be very inauspicious. In one sense, it could be, but what happened there was actually showing the very deep relationship Prabhupada had with the Devis. He sees the Devis and none different from Krishna, and his love and affection for them. So I don't want to spoil that part of the story by narrating it myself, because I will not do justice to the beautiful description that the devotees described oh no, I missed it. I thought I saved the description. But Mother Juma describes that bit really nicely of of when that thing happened. I think you all know what happened. But, yeah. Okay. So the installation ceremony. Okay, here you go. So then, after the Abhishek, after the first bathing of Radha Londonishvara, if you remember, if you see pictures and videos, there's no elaborate paraphernalia. Prabhupada just took a big ladle and bathing them with this. You know? That's the first installation, the first bathing of Radha Londonishvara. You know? So, Mother Jumuna described, said, the Purushottam and Tama Krishna brought the deities to the altar. Prabhupada and I followed, and I closed the curtain. All four of us were in the deity room. Then an elbow hit one of the columns, and immediately a chain reaction occurred. So there were two columns on either side of Radha and Krishna, and then Shamsundar Prabhu had built this altar, but because he was so tired, he was so busy, he had not had time. Like this building of the altar happened right to the last minute, so that he had not had time to fix those pillars, these columns, to the marble altar. That's what Mother Chuna says. One of the elbows knocked the columns. Right in front of us, the column began collapsing. So remember, Radha Krishna on the altar here, and that column is collapsing. So Mother Chuna says, for me, everything happened in slow motion. My vision changed. I saw several things simultaneously. Firstly, I had never seen Srila Prabhupada move so fast. With one sweeping motion of his hand, he cleared the items on the bottom step. Then with his right hand, he steadied the column, and with his left hand, he gently but firmly held Srimati Radharani's hand. It appeared to me almost like a choreographed dance, and yet his movements were so heroic, strong, and graceful. It all happened in a split second. As he turned and looked at me, I saw on his brow tiny droplets of perspiration, his mouth frozen into a grim expression. He appeared to me at that moment as the embodiment of chivalry, strong, commanding, saving his beloved Radharani. Srila Prabhupada allowed us to see in that small, extremely intimate gesture that this Radharani was real, not a marble statue, but a person, the supreme goddess. In addition, the alacrity of his movements and his manifestation of superhuman strength within a moment's notice amplified the experience for me. The love, strength, grace, clarity, protective instinct, and immediate service mood he exhibited, these qualities were coming from a higher place, the highest place that I wanted to go to. At that moment, the umbrella started to crack loose and fall. Lord Krishna grabbed it in free fall before the unthinkable happened. Srila Prabhupada looked at the man, his voice soft and controlled, and simply said, "You out." Then to me he said, "Dress them quickly." Then he turned and walked out of the TV room. The columns were carried out in full view of the BBC cameras, followed by the umbrella. I could not imagine what the devotees were thinking, but the BBC and most of the guests thought it was just part of the program, a procession carried out before the unveiling. I dressed the deities as quickly as I could, and then during a foot-stomping kirtan, I blew the conch and opened the curtains. The roar was tumultuous. The disaster had been averted, and I had seen something extraordinary in Srila Prabhupada. What a real relationship with the deity form of Radha and Krishna entailed. I would never forget it. I would never be the same. Shri Radha Londonishvara Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I don't know about you, as I read that, I just felt really moved. by reading this. Like Prabhupada actually saw Radharani there. I think Radharani was starting to move like this, and she just steadied her with her hand to protect them, protect his Krishna. So here's an interesting thing about the relationship that a devotee has with the deity. It's interesting. Like you could think, why do we have to protect Krishna? Shouldn't he be protecting us? No, you could think like that. Krishna is God, no? Why does it need to be served like that? In terms of how we look after the deities every day. Why do we have to serve him? Why do we have to dress him? Why do we have to feed him? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to organize things nicely for Krishna? Why do we have to do that? He's God. He's all powerful. He is self-sufficient, right? Here's something very beautiful in Srimad Bhagavatam that Prabhupada explains this beautiful relationship between Krishna and the deity. He says, Prabhupada describes this. He says, considering all these points, the most important aspect of the Supreme Lord's self-sufficiency. Listen to this carefully. Self-sufficiency means you don't need anything from anybody. Everything is within you. So Krishna is self-sufficient. He's fine. He's happy on his own. So he says, considering all these points, the most important aspect of the Supreme Lord's self-sufficiency is that he depends on his devotees. So Krishna doesn't need anything, but Prabhupada says the most important aspect of him not needing anything is that he depends on his devotees. This is called his causeless mercy. The devotee who has perceived this causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by realization can understand the master and the servant. The beautiful intimate relationship between Krishna and his devotees. Prabhupada saving Radha Londonishvara was a chance for him to express his love for them. He will do anything for them. And in fact, Prabhupada went to the West for them, going to a world he knew nothing of. Didn't know how he was going to eat, how he was going to sleep, how is he going to live there. He did that for them. What to speak when this was happening, definitely he would do anything to save them. So Prabhupada continues, he explains further in this purport. He says, although Krishna is full in himself, he nonetheless becomes pleased when his devotee offers him patram pushpam palam toyam, a leaf, flower, fruit, or water in devotion. Sometimes the Lord, as the child of Mother Yashoda, requests his devotee for some food, as if he were very hungry. Sometimes he tells his devotee in a dream that his temple and his garden are now very old, and that he cannot enjoy them very nicely. Thus he requests the devotee to repair them. Sometimes he's buried in the earth, and as if unable to come out himself, he requests his devotee to rescue him. Sometimes he requests his devotee to preach his glories all over the world, although he alone is quite competent to perform this task. Even though the Supreme Personality of Godhead is endowed with all possessions and is self-sufficient, he depends on his devotees. Therefore, the relationship of the Lord with his devotees is extremely confidential. It's extremely confidential, the relationship between the Lord and his devotees. So my dear devotees, we all have a chance to have that extremely confidential relationship with Shri Radha Londonishvara. The devotees describe this, that the different realizations devotees have about how Radha Londonishvara appeared in London, this whole pastime. It's like they had no plan, they did not know where they were going to get deities. This plan, basically, they came out of nowhere. So therefore, devotees are often described, they like to describe that Radha Londonishvara are self-manifested deities. That's how they like to describe it. Yeah, they appeared, they just manifested because of Prabhupada's ardent desire to please his Guru Maharaj, actually. And therefore, is described that because of this, Prabhupada described that his Guru Maharaj, after the whole installation, Prabhupada described to the devotees that, his Guru Maharaj had always wanted a temple in London. Somehow it didn't quite happen, but because he always thought that I should establish a temple in London because that was my Guru Maharaj's desire. So Radha Londonishvara appearing in London like that is them reciprocating with Prabhupada's ardent desire to please his Guru. So therefore Radha Londonishvara forever, for this Prabhupada's entire time, manifests physical presence with us on this planet. He always described how Radha Londonishvara was so dear to him. He was so attached to them, really, really attached to them. He described in Lamrita that Prabhupada would say that like usually Londonishvara, Krishna, he would look, he looks more beautiful, you know. He's like really shining, you know. But he says, but sometimes with the running eyes are twinkling, he says, they're twinkling, and she looks more beautiful, he would say. So yeah, but after the installation, he described that Prabhupada, he offered, before leaving, he was looking at Radha, and Mother Jamuna was right there. And Mother Jamuna said that Prabhupada spent a long time praying to him. Who knows what Prabhupada is telling me? What are they telling Prabhupada? And Prabhupada just turned to Jamuna and says, Jamuna was the first Pujari of Radha Londonishvara. She's the first Pujari of Radha Londonishvara. And he turned to her and said, you know, I have shown you everything. If you just serve them the way I should taught you, you will have everything. You gain perfection in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, that's how they appear. And Mother Jamuna describes the day before the installation of Radha Londonishvara, the altar was already built. The altar was already built, and they all sat down there in the evening and did the kirtan. They lit the whole altar. And Prabhupada was leading this kirtan. He said that Prabhupada was amazing, such a deep kirtan. He led in preparation for the installation of Radha Londonishvara. And every devotee went and offered flower petals to that place where Radha Londonishvara were going to stand the next day. He said that was one of the most amazing experiences in kirtan with Prabhupada. Yeah, that. So yeah, Shri Radha Londonishvara, for 50 plus years on, they're here, still gracing us with a merciful, incredibly merciful presence, and attracting the hearts of thousands and thousands of devotees. It's amazing to see. It's amazing, like there's so many people around the world who may not be still serving here and still consider themselves as devotees of Radha Londonishvara. It's amazing. I think all of you have experienced it. I've experienced it. So many devotees have told me they've experienced it. How merciful Radha Londonishvara are. I remember when I first came to this temple, that was years ago, and I only knew a few devotees, few devotees I knew, and one of them was Murli Manohar Prabhu. And I was telling him, I was experiencing this incredible shelter of Radha Londonishvara, and I was not a Pujari then. I was nothing. I was just kind of darshan every day after university. But I knew I was suffering like anything. I was going through some tough times at that time. Suffering like anything. And I would experience so much shelter from Shri Radha Londonishvara just by being with them and praying to them. And I shared with Murli Prabhu once that this is amazing because this is Radha and Krishna. This is Radha and Krishna, and you understand that Radha and Krishna, they're the highest manifestation of God, the original manifestation of God, and the topmost understanding of God, and therefore very, very confidential. But how is it I'm feeling so close, you know? I feel that they're so close to me. I'm so close to them. And Murli Prabhu said, yes, it's quite amazing that we may be struggling sadhakas, we may be struggling in Krishna consciousness like anything, but even though we're struggling at Manavati like anything, but Radha Londonishvara, Radha Krishna here, they're like so accessible, they're so merciful, it's like they're personally present in the lives of their devotees. And it's true. They reciprocate with the desires. If you have a strong spiritual desire to serve them, they can they fulfill it so quickly. You just desire it, and it's just like within days it happens. You know, some desires they take longer to fulfill. But I know. I'll tell you my story. So I was telling you, I was struggling like anything, and I was practicing Krishna consciousness in Mauritius. When I was 9, my entire family became devotees, and I always wanted to come here. And then I came here, went to university, but I was feeling really dry. No taste, no nothing. I haven't got service. I know nobody here at the temple, and I was really shy. I was very really talk. Really. And I was sitting in front of Radha Londonishvara. I was like, give me something to do. I was like some service that would really inspire me, and that would really keep me alive in Krishna consciousness. That would give me some life again, something. I didn't know what. I was thinking something because I had this artistic inclination. I was like, maybe something to do with that. I didn't know. And then, maybe a week later, I go to the Pujari seminar that Murli Prabhu was doing. And Murli Prabhu didn't know me at all. He didn't know me at all. And I just met him for the first time in that seminar. And what happened, we ended up having prasadam together during the lunch break. Like, how did that happen? And then we're just queuing up in Govinda's, waiting for prasadam. And then we ended up having prasadam together. And he was like asking, "Oh, where are you from? What's your name?" And he was like, and then I'm telling him, "Oh yeah, I'm going to art school, and I'm into art, that kind of thing." And I asked him, no, he asked me then, out of the blue, he was like, "Have you ever thought of designing outfits for them?" I was taken aback by that. I was like, "What? No, I can't do outfits. I'm not a designer. I'm not a fashion designer. I've never done textile or whatever. But I can paint backdrops though, because I've done that before for Temple in Mauritius." And he was like, "Think about it, you know." And then and then and then that evening I went back home, university home. So I went back to my home, my room, and I was on Skype with my mother. And I told her about this incident. You know, the head Pujari asked me like to design an outfit for them. I don't know what to make of it. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, I've got university now. I'll wait until maybe I'll wait until like the summer holidays and I have more time and I can get into these things. My mom was like, "What's wrong with you? The head Pujari of Radha Londonishvara is asking you to design an outfit. It doesn't matter if you don't know anything. Just do it. Try something. Figure something out and do it. It's Radha Londonishvara are like telling you this. You should do it." I was like, "Oh yeah, it's true." And it's funny that just before that time, I had two dreams of Radha Londonishvara. What was the first one? Well, one dream was I was making flower outfits for them. That was one dream. And the second dream was a very interesting dream. In that dream, I was carrying, I was literally carrying Radha Londonishvara in my hands, both of them, and they became smaller. And I took them and I put them in my locker in a cupboard. That was the dream. The two dreams happened. And after this happened, this incident happened in Muli Manohar. I didn't get any dreams at all because afterwards I went to him with the design that I came up with, and that became the beginning of a really amazing experience in serving them. So I began designing outfits for them together with Mother Brahma Shakti, and that was such an amazing service. Really helped me in my Krishna consciousness. But I tell you, doing that service was so amazing that even though I was never on the altar, I felt so closely connected to them. And that service actually saved my spiritual life, I think. You know. And if I'm not, and when I think back to that dream of me putting them in my locker, when I think about it, that locker looks the same as my locker in the Brahmachari ashram. Anyway, I'm not thinking too much about it, but that's how I just had this one desire to serve. Didn't quite know what to do. I was not even chanting 16 rounds by then. I was really struggling. But then they heard my prayer and they found a way to bring me closer, and purify me. And that's something that this relationship with the deities is not just limited to those who are on the altar with them, or let's say just dressing them. That's not the only that kind of experience is not limited to them. Every single one of us, because we are under their shelter, can experience that relationship with them, no matter what service we're doing. Because the deities they're here for all of us. We all have that relationship, Every single part of our lives is revolving around them. Every single aspect of our spiritual lives. So if we make Radha Londonishvara the center of our lives, we perform our services for their pleasure, no matter what service it is, we will experience that relationship with them. And everybody will tell you the same thing in this temple who've been serving them. They will know the experiences Radha Londonishvara are with me. They are with me. You never feel abandoned by them. You always feel that they're with them always. Yeah, so the devotees have various experiences with Radha Londonishvara. Yeah, so I remember sometimes when you talk about the deities, devotees expect us to share some very, very, very wonderful secrets about them. I mean, I'm not so fortunate to have a very such intimate relationship with them on a heart-to-heart platform. I'm still a struggling sadhaka. But I know devotees who have. There's some devotees that are like okay to share of how much they reciprocate with the devotees. So much. I know. Actually, one thing I'd share is that I was sharing earlier how I wish to fulfill our desires for service. I mean, just recently we offered this outfit on Guru Purnima, and that was like a whole meditation for myself and a whole team to pull up to do this whole darshan that we did. And I remember, like, it's interesting because I had this whole thing, whole ideas of what I wanted to do. The one thing you learn in Krishna consciousness is that you should not be the controller, because you're not the controller, Krishna is. So I was just like very laid back as to like what is it that we're trying to do. We try our best and do this way, that way. And I tried my best as well. I was so detached from what was going to what was going to be how everything was going to look, the darshan and the outfit and everything. But trying our best at the same time and trying to go for what we were trying to go for, but understanding that it may not happen the way we want it as well. And I remember, like, it was such an intense morning. We didn't sleep enough and everything was so stressful. I remember having darshan after Didi greeting, and I went to have darshan. I was quite in awe. I was like, every single thing I wanted happened. And the way Radha Londonishvara looked, I was like, oh, it's just so amazing. I was just like, God, they fulfilled my desires. Did they? I didn't say anything to anybody. The whole meditation that was manifested came to reality. I didn't say anything to anybody, but everybody was coming to me. So many devotees were coming to me. Wow, Radha Londonishvara. It looked like they were there, you know? They were actually there. And that is an experience that a lot of devotees told me about Shri Radha Londonishvara in particular. That they don't look like deities. You know, they don't look like deities. They just look like Krishna. Krishna is actually standing there. If you go there with a humble heart, a prayerful mood, and really sincere and humble and prayerful and and really wanting to serve them, they don't look like deities. And it's true. Like when I was around 4 or 5 years old, I was not. My family were not devotees, and I was not a devotee. I came across this picture of, I didn't know who it was. It was actually a picture of Radha Londonishvara. Actually, I have this picture here. I'll share it with all of you. I have this picture of Radha. I came across this picture of Radha Londonishvara. Can you all see it? There's too much glare on the frame. Anyway, I can share with all of you on WhatsApp if you would like to. This picture, this is the first picture of Krishna I ever saw. Just Krishna in general, not just a deity. So I saw that when I was 5, and I was looking at it, and I didn't know what deities were. And I was looking at this picture, I was like, what are these two people? I couldn't quite understand. I was like, they look too real. And I was thinking, like, I'm looking at Krishna, but I didn't know it was Krishna. I'm looking at Krishna, I'm looking, well, he has like a base there, so it must be a statue, right? But what about her? Like, this lady, like, there's no base, she's so real. I remember having that thought when I was like 5 years old, like, who are they? Like, it's only years later. It's only when I came here that I realized, no, it wasn't when I came here. It was I was in Mauritius, and I realized, oh, this is Radha Londonishvara. This is Radha Londonishvara, like that. So yes, I had devotees tell me as well before. Senior devotees saying, yeah, you look at them, they don't look like deities. Actually, some devotees say that. They say that Prabhupada said that. I haven't seen the recording, how the recording was seen in the written form, but they say that Prabhupada did say, Krishna has tricked you. This is not a deity who is Krishna. It's Krishna pretending to be a deity. He's pretending to be a deity. So like that. This is Shri It's so merciful. Yes,
Prabhu, I had, sorry to disturb, I had that Prabhupada said that Radha Londonishvara the closest look to how they look in spiritual world.
Oh, I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
I have heard that as well. Again, not something that I've seen recorded. But I didn't. But something is for sure is that Prabhupada was so attached to Shri Radha Londonishvara, so attached. Sometimes he would often say that they're the most beautiful Radha Krishna. He's very attached to most beautiful Radha Krishna in ISKCON, in the world. So he said, and it's interesting. Radha Londonishvara's magical darshan, you have to have it in person. Just having darshan online is just not enough. You have to come in person. And you have, and we just, the darshan is so magical. I might be dressing them on the altar, but I find I have to come out of the altar and have darshan because it's not the same. You have to be there as a servant, not as the man in charge. Be there as a servant and have darshan. Yeah, so Prabhupada in one this story of Prabhupada was somewhere and they were discussing Prabhupada wanted Radha Londonishvara's picture to be on the cover of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when they were discussing this, I think there was some devotees wanted Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra's picture, the deities in New Vrindavan. And I think it was Kirtanandana Swami or somebody was saying, because they were attached to these deities, they were saying, oh, Radha Vrindavan Chandra are most beautiful, and then Prabhupada says, Radha Londonishvara, very beautiful. And then one other instance, Prabhupada says, and, in the same conversation, Prabhupada says, Londonishvara is town beauty, and Vrindavan Chandra is village beauty. Londonishvara, he looks so classy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's like so refined. He's so Londonishvara looks so refined and so elegant. It's so beautiful. Yeah. So like that. And then one story that really touched my heart, I was reading TKG's diary. Have you heard of this book, TKG's diary? So that's Tamal Krishna Maharaj's own diary that he wrote during the last months of Prabhupada's physical presence. So until Prabhupada left his body, he recorded everything in there. So he writes in there was a time that it was becoming very clear Prabhupada was super sick, he's in Vrindavan. And it was clear, like, does not look good. All the astrologers also saying it's going to be the most testing time of his life, health-wise. He shouldn't travel. And Prabhupada is in, he's there in Vrindavan and he's thinking, he wants to go on world tour. And one thing he said, I want to go to London and see the beautiful face of Londonishvara. He has, what did he say? He has this beautiful, innocent smile. Londonishvara has, and he wants to go and see the beautiful, innocent smile of Londonishvara. And that's when he shouldn't be traveling. He wants to go and travel. And it's described that when he came to London, he was at the manor. After going to the manor, he came to Bury Place. And my Guru Maharaj himself told me, he told his Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, he said that, he told me it's well known that Prabhupada has special affection for Londonishvara. He was at the manor, and he made the point to come all the way here to Bury Place just to have darshan of him. He described that was his last darshan of Radha Londonishvara. And when he had darshan of them, it described that he was in front of them for a long time. Praying, don't know what he was telling them. Praying for them for a long time. And then when he turned around, they said he had tears in his eyes. So we are fortunate. We are serving Prabhupada's own deities. That's Londonishvara, like Prabhupada's own deities. He himself, out of his own personal desire, they manifest. They're like his deities. They are his deities. We're so fortunate to be there. So every day, actually, if you think about it, every day we have Prabhupada at the back having darshan of Radha Londonishvara, and Radha Londonishvara having darshan of him. So every day we're within the presence of a pure devotee who's having loving exchanges with them. We just don't see it. Prabhupada is always having darshan of them. So yeah, so there's many other wonderful stories. I can't remember all of them. Yeah.
Prabhu, do you have any stories, personal, like with Krishna, for example, serving like they don't like something or they like something or something happened?
Here's one experience I had. That was a very powerful experience for me. I had them dressing Radha Londonishvara. It's nothing. Don't worry, they didn't move or anything. They don't do that with me. I'll tell you some other stories later. But what happened with me was, I dressed Radha Londonishvara on the Thursday, every Thursday, and Muli Manohar Prabhu dresses them on Tuesday. And for me, it's always been like this, that my connection to the deities was always Muli Manohar Prabhu, because he, the head Pujari, he was the head Pujari. To me, he still is the head Pujari. And he's the one who gave me service to them. He's the one who engaged me in service and had faith in me and was so merciful to me. So he's always my connection to them. So he was going to go to India for 3 months, 2 or 3 months. So he was going to leave on Thursday. during the day. And I told him, do you want to dress them tomorrow Thursday? It's my day, but I'd like you to dress them because you won't get the chance again.
Mhm.
And he thought, and I actually wanted to give it to him because I was in such a bad consciousness for those few days. I was like, I should not be serving them. I should not be dressing them. I don't have the right, I'm not qualified. So that's why I very eagerly asked him, please, can you dress you? He's more qualified. He dressed him. And he said, oh, that's tempting. And he was like, but no, I want you to dress. I want you to dress. And he said, I want you to dress them tomorrow because I want you to dress because you dress them nicely. And I was like, oh God, because I'm feeling like I should not be dressing them. I don't think I should. But then I was like, but no, he's instructed me to, therefore I'm going to dress them and service to them. And service to him. That's what I meant. I was seemingly I will be with them, but actually I'm only serving them on behalf of him. I'll be dressing them on his behalf. So that's the mood I went in the next day. And then I remember, like, in that mood, I was like, I was telling the dean, I'm dressing them as it's because really probably wants me to, therefore I'm doing it. I know I should not be here, but because of him, I'm going to do it. And I remember dressing them, and they look very beautiful. But then, when I came outside the dealing room for darshan afterwards, of the dealing room, and I had darshan. I was like, God, I've never seen Radharani so beautiful in my life. God, she was glowing like anything. Like, she was really glowing. Like I mean, she's always glowing, but it was so special that day. I was like, what happened? Like, she looks so beautiful. Krishna. I mean, Krishna is always looking very, he's always stealing the show, generally speaking. But that morning, Radharani was like, she was like, I don't know what it was. She was so amazing. It was so amazing. It was incredible. And I was like, why did that happen? Nothing on my side. I know I have no devotion. What happened? And I knew because I was doing this as a service to their dear servant, That was my realization. And my realization from this is that they become, Radharani become more and more beautiful when you do your service in the mood of being a servant of Guru, a servant of the acharyas, the servant of our ancestors. If we know that I'm the servant of the servant of the servant, I'm the servant of my authorities, they become really happy with it. And they reciprocate by becoming more beautiful. That was my experience with them. They became very beautiful. And, it was quite something. I'll tell you one story that Murli Manohar Prabhu gave me permission to share that he had. He has a few dreams about them. He had this one dream of he dressed Radha Londonishvara, and Radha Londonishvara had these very intoxicated eyes, really ecstatic, they looked very intoxicated. And it's true, sometimes you would see Londonishvara's eyes, they become a bit reddish. Yeah, and he described Acharyas that when Krishna becomes intoxicated in love, intoxicated in tasting the love of his devotees, his eyes become, this reddish tinge comes in, like that. So he said Londonishvara was so intoxicated, so happy, intoxicated. And then there was this devotee who was having darshan at that time, in a dream. This devotee having darshan at that time, and the devotee was telling him there's something wrong with the dressing. And Murli Prabhu looked at Krishna, and Krishna said, no, everything's fine. And he had a dream where then Radha Londonishvara came off the altar and sat, because when we offer Raj Bhoga, we put the seats there, and they come down the steps, and they sat on the seats. They came off the altar and sat on the seats, and were eating Raj Bhoga. Raj Bhoga, if you don't know, is the big offering at noontime. It's a very big offering. You have like sweet plate, you have a savory plate, very big, the biggest offering of the day. He told me one time he also had this dream that Radha Londonishvara will be completely alive. So he's the one to do all these secrets. All these secrets, Yeah, like that. So this story. Another pastime he shared was we already spoke about Radha Londonishvara. We didn't speak about Jagannath. We didn't speak about Gonitai and Giri. There's so many stories about them as well. So Radha Londonishvara, so this is about Gonitai. Murli Prabhu describing that Gonitai at the time. we paint them. So we bathe them every day. They get bathed every day, so the paint comes off very quickly. So generally, because it's always coming off. So Modi Prabhu would actually, he said he would delay in getting them repainted and calling the artist to paint them again. So he would delay in doing it. So he delayed for quite a while. And one time he was delaying it. So during that time, it was before a festival. He had a dream. He had a dream that Gonitai were coming up the steps, boom, 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 up to the Brahmacharya ashram. Modi Prabhu's room. He used to live in this room, which is the Brahmacharya ashram. It's right at the top. So the altar is down there. So they're coming up the stairs, boom, 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 because they want to get painted. And everybody's painting them. They're coming up the stairs, boom, boom, like that. So yeah, they indicate what they want to those who are pure in heart.
Do you have, Prabhu, any story about Gauranitai, how they came here, how they arrived?
Yeah, they came after Radha Londonishvara. I don't know the story behind that. But one thing I do know that I learned quite a while ago, is that our Gronitai, they were actually Gora Gadhadhar deities. If you look at their pose, they're not Gronitai pose. It's like Gora Gadhadhar pose. So they got Gora Gadhadhar instead. They didn't know. They thought it was Gronitai. Then Prabhupada told them, well, you got Gora Gadhadhar. Actually, we should worship Gronitai. So therefore, we should worship them. We have to, because the preaching movement, we should worship Gonitai. Gora Gadhadhar is a more elevated form of worship, more esoteric, more Rasik, more worship. But Gora Gadhadhar is Radha Krishna. Yeah, but we need Lord Nityananda's mercy because he's so fallen. So therefore, our Lord Gauranga is basically in Gadhadhar pose. It's very special, like that they give lots of mercy. But they're so wonderful. Their Gonitai are so wonderful. They're so merciful. And they are our saviors, We're only here because of. So yeah, Mulipur also. Here's one. I'll share this one story. One experience I had. That's the only thing I ever had. So please don't think I'm some exalted soul, because I'm not. But that was a special mercy on my side when I just became head Pujari. And I think the deities really wanted to really inspire me in my service and really show that again that they're alive, they're there. So I had this dream. It's a very interesting dream. I had this dream. I was undressing Radha Londonishvara at night, so we put their pajamas on. And I was taking Londonishvara's blouse off. I was taking his blouse off. He looked really tired. And as he was looking really tired, he just sat down because he was so tired. As I was removing his clothes, he just sat down and really tired. And that's all. That was a dream. I did not quite understand this. I was like, but when you have a dream which is a bit out of the ordinary, you wake up and you feel really alive. Like you don't feel like, oh, brother, you just feel, oh. So I could tell it was just the deities maybe throwing some mercy on me, because I never dream. I rarely dream anything. So I just kept it to myself. I shared it with my friend. I dreamt. It's really amazing. So I went and told Murli Manohar Prabhu about, I had this dream, because it was a nice experience. I had this dream, and then Murli Prabhu told me that, what do you think they're telling you? And I was like, oh, I didn't think of that. I was like, why would Krishna want to tell me anything? I don't know. So I was just, I don't know. What do you think? You have to think. So I didn't think much about it. I was thinking, what could they be saying? What could they be saying? I was just amazed that he actually moved in the dream, because that never happens, So then I went. So I didn't think of anything about it. So I was just like going around in my day. And I think 1 week later, I went, after the noon arati, you just go to sleep. So there's that one particular day, I just happened to be there by accident. And the deal is that the curtain arati finishes at 1 and the curtains close at 1. After that, at least within 15 minutes, Krishna should be asleep, instead of putting him to rest, and then we wake him up later. So I went there on 1:30, and I looked down the altar stairs, and looked, Krishna hadn't slept yet. And then I asked that devotee, what, you're putting him to sleep? Yeah, what time did you put him to sleep? He's like, well, I want to clean everywhere very nice. He had very good intentions. He wanted to clean. So then you have to clean everywhere very nicely first. and then that put them to sleep. So I was wondering like, for how long this has been happening. I was like, no problem. Yeah, by 1:15, we should have put him to sleep. You know, still put him to sleep. So probably that's what Krishna was saying. I don't know. I didn't get any dreams after that ever again like this. So yeah, I think there was another devotee as well who was waking Krishna earlier in the morning, waking Krishna up like a few minutes earlier.
Prabhu, I got many questions. People, devotees are asking, do we put deities to bed physically? How we put them to the bed? Or can you explain?
And what we do here is, well, Gonitai, they go into the bed. Gonitai and Giriraj, they go into the bed.
You mean physically?
Physically, we move them into the bed. Gonitai and Giriraj every day for the night. For the daytime nap, no. But just at night, when they're into their pajamas, we put them into the bed. Jagannath and Radhanishvara, we don't. We just invite them. One particular thing, one very nice feature of our worship of Radhanishvara here is that we worship them for Giriraj. So Giriraj is the functional deity described. So that in other temples you usually have like a small Radha Krishna with the functional deities, where you put a big deity to sleep through them, you worship them through the small deities, have the whole elaborate puja and everything. So we do that here. Giriraj plays that role. Giri Govardhan plays that role. So therefore, when you put Giriraj to sleep, that means we're inviting Radha Krishna to sleep as well. Yeah. He's the functional deity for.
Prabhu, do you wash Giriraj with Panchamrit every day, or just water?
Only fragrant water.
Okay.
Yeah, Panchamrit we do it on festival days.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got same with Gonitai as well. It's just with scented water.
Okay, just scented water.
Yeah, fragrant flower petals in it.
I wanted to ask anybody, because we're all almost immigrants. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody came and everybody had first time seeing the deities. I would like to ask everybody to think and to share their experiences first time seeing the deities whilst Vamshi Prabhu is talking. If somebody can come up with the stories.
Yeah, that would be so nice. Actually,
Yeah.
I was actually, you just read my mind, Mataji. I was thinking the same thing because all of you, I'm sure you had wonderful experiences.
It would be interesting. I know that Gaia has very interesting story if she's going to share. Gaia, are you? Gaia is next door, but I don't know what she's doing.
Well, I'm a bit in a cooking spree. It's not very interesting. In high school, we were studying religions, as you do. And I was always very interested in Hinduism. And I was researching Shiva online, and popped up this picture of two chubby ladies. I'm like, why are they worshipping two chubby ladies? And I was like 16 maybe. So they dragged me all the way to London to show me. First of all, we're not ladies. We're not chubby. I know it's dumb. I can't remember that picture, but nobody looks like this. So I know it was Radha Londonishvara. They're dragging me here to show themselves, basically.
Wow, that's very nice. Yes, true. I know one devotee. He was in India, and he was serving Jayadvaita Swami, and he had this memory stick from Jayadvaita Swami, and somehow he was looking for it. This folder that had lots of pictures in it of deities, and he found this series of pictures of Radha Londonishvara, but he didn't know who they were, and he found this picture of these deities, Radha and Krishna, in this Scottish outfit, and he was like, "Oh, what are these deities? They're wearing this Scottish outfit. Like, this is out of the ordinary. No, I should go and see them. I would love to see them." And eventually, him and his wife did come to the UK, and they served them for many years, and they're still out there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That Radhanishvara's influence goes everywhere. It's incredible. They go everywhere. But yeah,
if anybody else have any stories. Personally, me, I don't have much stories. I know only when I arrived in 2002, I didn't come to the temple. I can't remember that I've seen Radha Londonishvara before, and pictures anywhere. Not really. But I didn't go. I was in the temple, I was associating with devotees, but I couldn't go to see the deities. I wasn't ready. So I was coming sometime, I don't know, maybe a couple of times, and I just didn't go to the deities. I just couldn't. Something kept me away. And when I came here, it was after some time. Does anybody else have anything to share about the deed? Okay. Ina is smiling. Ina, come on.
Well,
She's
I
always
think
your
I
stall.
shouldn't. Yeah, I shouldn't. Wow, it's probably my hallucination. But once at some really, I can't remember if it was with Arati or maybe Mandal Arati I've attended, not many, just a couple, but it was very ecstatic. Maybe it was kirtan with like Indrajumna Swami or something. I can't. It was very something very ecstatic kirtan. It was very full temple. It was very full. Maybe it was a celebration, some festival, and it was very full. And I remember we were dancing and we were, singing kirtan and we were dancing, and Radha Londonishvara, they just looked amazing, just really happy. They were like glowing. And I remember I was dancing and it was like turning, and I turned and I looked, and Krishna moved his head, and I'm sure it was hallucination, but and it was sort of like that sneaky, and he sort of like saw me, and then he just sort of went straight back, and as I say, I was like very ecstatic and hallucinating for sure. But it was just sort of that really sneaky, like he sort of didn't expect me to turn that quick, and he was, he like sort of moved his head. I think like look at Radha or something like that way. And then I sort of turned and I looked and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And then he sort of like, became straight back like as he was. But I really treasure that memory, and whatever that is, that's really close to my heart and really special, because it was super like ecstatic atmosphere, and I think he just sort of like got really relaxed and yeah, just an amazing,
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
hallucination.
Thank you.
Oh,
Anybody
so
else?
nice. I mean, yeah, the things happen with them.
Yeah. Victoria, how did you see when you saw first time? Any other girls? Anybody wants to share? What's the impression?
No, when I first saw them, I was just was taken aback with their beauty. I was like, when I came first time, I came into the temple and into the temple room. I was just amazed. I was like, I think I was breathless for like a minute. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like stunned. Yeah, that's how that's kind of influence they had on me at the very beginning. If you don't mind, can I ask a question? Maybe it's a very basic question. Can you hear me?
Can't hear. I can increase my volume.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes, that's better.
Sorry. Just I don't know. It's a very basic question, but how do deities get their names? Where do they get their names from?
Oh, very good question.
Yeah. But usually, well, in Prabhupada's time, Prabhupada would name them. Like they usually the leading devotee who's like restoring the deities, or leading devotee of that yatra. The spiritual leader usually names them. Like Londonishvara. That's pretty unique actually. Radha Londonishvara. Prabhupada named them Radha Londonishvara. Yeah, so Prabhupada named them like that. We went to Paris, he named the deities there, Radha Paris Ishvara. Yeah, that's quite actually think that's pretty amazing. It is Prabhupada's genius, you see, because we're here in London, and we have to constantly remember that we're in this area, this area of the world. And Prabhupada is so intelligent is trying to remind us that the controller of this area is always Krishna. Because we go to London all the time, we do this and there's never London Ishvara. He is the real Lord of London. It's true. It's happening in Paris as well. Paris Ishvara. He's the Lord and controller of Paris. So basically, everything that's happening in London cannot happen without Krishna's sanction. Interestingly enough. So he's the controller. Remember that he's the controller. Isn't that amazing? Krishna, that's why Krishna looks so innocent. Krishna looks so innocent, so beautiful, so sweet. But he's a controller of everything. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? We can wait. Triloka Chaitanya Lila smiling. She has to share. She's serving in the kitchen. She's still
Yeah,
serving.
Trilokia Mataji should say something.
She's wonderful. Yeah. Please, I know. I know her smile. I can recognize she's hiding something.
It's just when I also didn't see many pictures of deities when I consciousness. I heard my friend said, "Oh, you know, in London there is a big congregation of devotees, nice temple, and so you have to go there." And it was like I never liked to live in a big city. I was always scared, and then all of a sudden, when my heart was a desire, I was in Latvia at that time. I had a desire. Okay, I need to go to London. That's it. I want London. No matter what happened, wherever you find the job to my husband, we must go to London. So we came to the London, go to Temple Street Way. It took me time. When I came to the temple, I feel like, it wasn't so. I was like so grateful and so peaceful, and tears came out as well. And I'm here. I'm at home. It's that kind of feeling. Wow, thank you so much, because I know that like because I don't know why. I don't know the big picture and the reason, but all saying it only because of love. I don't know, nothing else actually. It's holding me here. But
Veditis dragged you here. Everybody, we're dragging everybody. When anybody sees, they bring them here. That's the reason.
yeah, so once I look at them, and they're beautiful. But one evening, actually, I feel that it's so compassionate, so lovable, and like personal smile. It looks like he gave me his smile, like personally. It was and since then, it's amazing. It's just wow.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's very.
Can I share one last story from Mulipur? That
Yes,
was his
please.
most recent dream, actually, which he shared. He said like one time it was just after the marathon, and in that dream it was time for Didi greeting, but Radharani was missing, and he was looking for her. And where did she go? She went outside to go greet the Sankirtan devotees, and he had to go down and ask her to come back because Didi greeting time. So that's Radharani, like we were saying, she's Karuna Bharite. She really wants to extend this mercy to everybody. She wants everybody to come to Krishna. So when devotees do that service and bring others to Krishna, she's really happy. She considers them to be her people.
That's great. That's amazing, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know that Murli Manohara has more stories, but we'll find him next time probably, if he agrees. It's amazing.
Oh, he has no doubt he's very dear to the Lordships. He's very close to them.
Thank you so much. And it's a great pleasure to see and really you serving, they choose and you per devotees. We're allowed to come closer per devoted. So thank you so much for serving the deities, pleasing them and looking after Pujari. So it's very nice. Pujari department, I mean. Looking after Pujari department. Thank you so much.
Please all of you give me your blessings and so that I could continue to.
We need your blessings, Prabhu. You have to give us blessings.
No, I need more. All of you are such wonderful devotees.
You must miss your deities, the deities. You must miss the deities when you when you leave. On your holiday. On your trip for your journey.
Yeah. I carry their picture with me whenever I go somewhere.
Have you ever been late for the deity service opening or serving prasadam or something? Because I know that Radharani, even 1 minute, it's disaster.
Yeah, I mean it does happen. Like if somebody didn't turn up or something, or like you overslept or something. Yeah, but yeah, then
Do you apologize when you come late or?
yeah, we have these mantras for forgiveness, mantra hinam priyanam bhakti. Yeah, but yeah, we shouldn't become a habit. So sometimes it happens. We don't want to like hammer devotees down,
Yeah.
but we encourage them. You have to be on time because so important. Don't be late. I tell you one story.
Yes.
Janmastami, lockdown Janmastami. It's a funny story. It's lockdown Janmastami, and it was a Tuesday, and there's a devotee who we put just about lockdown. It was only us doing everything. There's not many devotees involved in the schedule, so that one day we were supposed to wake up the deities that day for Janmastami, and I had helped with all the decorations all night, all night, and so I was really tired. I went to sleep around 2 a.m. So it's got 2 a.m. I think I'm going to sleep very nicely, wake up maybe like around 4:30, and I'll be ready for helping for decorating the altar again. Different things help the pujaris. I wasn't dressing that morning. So I was like, okay, I can sleep for at least another like 2.5 hours. I guess somebody wake me up at 3:45. I have to wake Krishna up at 3:45. 3:45, they wake me up. Nobody's waking Krishna up. Who was woken Krishna up on Janmastami? Nobody woke Krishna up on Janmastami. I was like, what? What am I gonna do? I went running to the bathroom, just got ready in like 2 minutes. And I was like, we're going to be late. We're going to be late because already time to wake them up. So I got what happened, I got all the brahmacharis because the fridge wasn't working as well. So Krishna's Mangalarati sweets were downstairs in this restaurant fridge. I was like, all of you, please help get Krishna's sweets from downstairs and help make Krishna's plate. And then it was so amazing the teamwork that happened. All the brahmacharis helped make Krishna's plate, which was mastery. And the offering was on time.
Oh,
so somebody was waking up, somebody was making the plate, everyone was doing together, and the offering was on time. So even though we were late, but it wasn't completely late. We were able to catch up with it. So I was like thinking that was probably Londonishvara wanting his brahmacharis to make his plate on the day of his birthday, That was very sweet to see everybody together make Krishna's plate. That was one. And I went down there and I finished the whole thing off, and I did Mangalarati and everything, which I must do. But what's amazing, one thing I became convinced that, look, we often think, because I'm full time in their service, so you often think that, oh, I have to do things, I'm doing things, I'm taking care of them, so to speak. You end up thinking like that. But I remember like during lockdown, there's nobody, and I remember, again, sometimes you get low consciousness, and I was like, oh no, I should not go down there. But I'm trying to find anyone else to cover, but they can't cover, so I have to go there. So you feel like the deities are pulling you, You have to come. You have to come and do this service. You have to come down to the altar, pulling because there's nobody else to do it. So I have to go down, and I go down, and my consciousness is like, boom. I get all the energy, and I'm like so positive, so happy. And I realized actually, we tend to think we're there for them, but actually, they're here for us. They're here. I think I'm taking care of them, but actually, they're taking care of me. Making sure that I get what I need to progress in Krishna consciousness. So that was quite a realization as well. And whatever they do is to churn our hearts to make us more Krishna consciousness. More Krishna consciousness. Yeah, it's nice.
That's amazing, Prabhu. Thank you. So next time is going to be when you come back and you'll be sharing your stories of wondering about spiritual spiritual places or anyway.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
You have to write down because when you come back, you have to tell all stories.
I bought a new diary because you told me to write it down. Look, I have a new
Good.
diary. I bought a new diary.
Excellent, Prabhu. Yes. So we're waiting eagerly for your next visit to share your stories because Prabhu is going with Guru for like pilgrimage, is it?
No, I'm going to be serving him while he's traveling.
Serving, yeah.
So yeah, I leave day after National Day of Appearance Day. I leave.
Oh my God.
Back in June.
It's amazing. And he's going to Lithuania festival
Yeah.
or where?
No, I'm not going for the festival. That's afterwards, no?
Yeah.
No,
so when you going to be in Lithuania? What date?
I can't remember.
Because I'm going in May.
Oh,
for 2
more
days.
cross paths then.
I'm going with Suvarna Radha for 2 days to see my group. So, but I think I'll miss you because you coming later. I'm coming May, coming in June.
Yeah. Okay.
So If anybody has any questions, please, any questions come up. If you have, please feel free to ask anything. Then we have to finish because it's time for everybody to go. It's Sunday. It's time to go back to bed. We had nice time. Now we can sleep again on Sunday. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Vamsivata Prabhu Ki Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Srila Prabhupada Radha Londonishvara Ki Jai.
Vivo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare
Hare Krishna.